So, welcome back, everyone. This is Elevated Duty Podcast. This week we have uh, two people here that one is he has a lot of expertise. Another one I met last year on Marksmanship Academy when he was sergeant. Welcome, Chief Coppock, CW5 Michael Coppock, and Sergeant now, Mr. Um, Samuel Alfano. How you guys doing?
Really well. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So, for our viewers, you'll see Sergeant Alfano is not here physically, but we are making this happen so that you can. It feels that he's actually here, and it's. I think this is part of the military. Adapt and overcome, right? We look for different ways to make things happen, and this is new for me. Every time we need to do new stuff, so I think this is great because this might help us to get to those folks that they're like far away from us. So first of all, I wanna, as we usually do on our podcast, I want to let the people know your backgrounds. So I'm gonna start with you, Chief. Tell me, who's Michael Coppock?
How far back do you want me to go?
I know you have a busy schedule, so let's try to make it
Okay.
fast. Like a little bit of your background, where you're from, and what made you join the Colorado Army National Guard.
Yeah, well, I'm going to back up just a little bit just because, I joined the Army in 1992 as a medic and served at Fort Ord, California, Fort Lewis, Washington, Fort Carson, Colorado. Had a short break in service, and a neighbor, that's the community part of the Guard, looked over at me one day and said, "Hey, have you thought about coming back in and serving in the Guard?" And he planted that seed, and from then on I started running again and getting back in shape because I had that break in service, put a pounds on, and then came back in the Guard as into a signal position. I didn't hold a signal MOS. I was still a medic, but was able to land a tech job there at the G6 where Mr. Alfano works, and got some experience there. I also had started a college for networking, computer networking. So was starting that IT transition. I really don't know. I might be the only signal CW5 in the Army that actually never held a signal MOS because I never reclassed to 25 series. All of my experience that helped me to predetermine as a signal warrant officer was from civilian experience. In my tech job, college, during my break, I worked at WorldCom as a database analyst, but becoming a warrant officer, I had a CW4, Chief Warrant Officer 4, Kelly Crane, that I worked with closely, and he's like, hey, Staff Sergeant Coppock, have you ever thought about becoming a warrant officer? And that was one other person in my career that planted that seed and made me think, oh, there's something different for me out there, something more. And so I then began working on my packet to become a warrant officer and get predetermined, much like Mr. Alfano has recently gone through. But on my private side, I have a wife and 3 girls, one of which is married and graduating college next month, or actually this month now, May. One that's graduating high school and another high schooler. So
that's great.
Stay busy.
That's great to hear. What about you, Mr. Alfano?
Yeah, actually, I started my career off in 2013. I think the reason I joined, I had a lot of family who was military. I knew I wanted to join, at a very young age. So kind of did that. I've been at different units within Colorado National Guard. I've been in the Guard the whole time. I started out with EMPs. Then I switched over to 519th, where I first had my initial interaction with warrant officers, which was cool. I started in supply over there. We had a gentleman leave, and I wasn't qualified. And then, some other chief warrant officer came alongside and said, "Hey, I'll teach you." And he taught me the ropes very quickly. He was absolutely an expert in what he did. Very patient leader, just really, really diligent about everything that he did. Everything was the standard, which was really cool. And then, switched out of that unit. We're back to MPs at a little PSD time, and my son started getting a little bit older, so I was like, okay, I need to start transitioning to, at least be at home a little bit more, which was kind of fun, and fell into the IT world, and that's kind of where I'm at now. So just like Mr. Coppock, I technically don't have the IT MOS, but just everything I've done on the civilian side as well has led me to getting predetermined for a 255, which is data operations warrant. So I'm really excited to start my journey, to be honest.
So I think you guys already cover what was supposed to be my questions. Like, what made you become a warrant? So I want to jump straight to the problem. What are the specific roles and responsibilities of warrant officers, specifically here in the Colorado Army National Guard? Because I recently had Chief Flores, and it's great to see warrant officers like her, like, and you, like, they're like experts on their craft, and that's how she basically described warrants being the experts on their job, and that's why she took that path. She's like, I'm good at my job and I'm really good on what I do, and she's like, I can do this all my life. So she's like, that's why she decided to become a warrant officer. So what are the roles and responsibilities, and how they differ from other branches or even officers?
Yeah, that's a good question. So warrant officers are subject matter experts in their very narrow field. There's been talk in the past about broadening warrant officers, but quite honestly, warrant officers need to be very narrow and very deep in their field. So the warrant officer is a subject matter expert. They're an advisor to their command, and that's one of the most important things that they do, is it make sure that the command is making decisions based on facts and what is right, what's the right path, and they do that, like I say, based on their field, from their perspective. Where that differs from regular officers is they are generalized officers. While they have a specific branch, they will do various jobs throughout their careers that are not necessarily specific to their branch. They may be in a G staff, working staff products decisions, and they probably bring their own branch-specific flair to it, but it's not necessarily to be the subject matter expert in that field. That's our job, and we bring continuity as well to a unit. We can stay longer in a position, which allows us to be that continuity while officers and NCOs are rotating in and out. We can stay, and especially in the Guard, this is true, where we can stay. Use me, for example. I was in the same brigade, same field artillery brigade, for 14 years, and that is the epitome of continuity. That person, whoever that may be, becomes the person that is leaned upon for the continuity in the unit.
That's great. So, Sergeant Alfano, Mr. Alfano, is right now. You're in your civilian capabilities, right?
I am.
So I want to ask you, how is starting to become a warrant officer right now? How you balance that of becoming a warrant officer and you're a civilian? Like, are they go hand in hand? Like, are you going a similar path, or?
Yeah, thankfully they do go hand in hand for me on my side. I have the opportunity to work with alongside a couple of warrant officers here, actually, which is really nice. So I've got Chief Grecky and Chief Escobar, who are extreme experts. One's been attacked before, and one works in networking. And one thing that I really value about not only their technical skill is their ability to network with people as well. And it's a great force multiplier, because if you don't have the answer right away, and you have the ability to just reach out and have someone who's even more of a technical expert in that area, their level of humility goes above and beyond and they make the force that much stronger. It's absolutely outstanding. But yeah, it's almost, I would say seamless, but it definitely amplifies my ability going through this course, and I thoroughly enjoy it.
That's great. Obviously, Chief, you work as full time staff. What is your obviously you're part of the command staff, right? So, what is your main role up there in the Joint Forces headquarters?
Well, there's a few different main roles that there are many roles, but a few primary. People's first. People are my primary. What I feel my primary responsibility is.
Okay.
And that's taking care of people. I have a few initiatives I'm working on, but anytime a people issue comes to me, that's going to rise to the top. That's who I want to take care of first. So taking care of warrant officers is my primary responsibility. One of my initiatives that I'm working on currently is expanding. Currently, there's a Title X warrant officer retiree program where a warrant officer can retire from active duty and then assess into the Guard.
Wait, let's pull that up here. I have this.
Oh, great!
Yeah,
yeah. We worked on this flyer to recruit active duty warrant officers into the Guard and allow them to continue service while drawing their retirement pay. It's a great program, but it's only available to active duty currently in the same capacity that they have it. So yeah, we're actively going after this, but at the same time, I'm trying to answer the question: why is this not available for our AGR force? And keep those subject matter experts in Colorado, and not just for warrant officers, but for enlisted and some officers, probably not as widely required there, but still could be a need. There is a way for us to do it currently through indispensability on a case-by-case basis, so that's a good interim stopgap. But I would like to expand the program to include AGRs the way that active duty has it right now.
That's great. And now that you mentioned, you take care of people, especially the warrant officers, because that's mainly your program, right? Which is the warrant officer candidate school, right? We do have the school here, right, in the RTI.
Yeah, the warrant officer candidate school is currently at the RTI at Fort Carson, and it's 2 phases. The first phase, it's an AT, and they ship out to Camp Atterbury, Indiana, do their 2-phase or their 2-week phase there. Then they come back and they do 5 additional drills here in Colorado.
So, Mr. Alfano, when was your first training with them? When you started with them?
So we did pre-WOCS in just before March. So that February timeframe. So that kind of got us up and ready for everything we needed to see in Camp Atterbury, which I definitely felt we had an advantage of at least understanding what's expected of us. If you can't really prepare for the shock and awe, so to speak, they do a really good job at building you up and really getting you ready for what's expected of you. So the 2 weeks in Camp Atterbury was, you're up early, you're doing runs, rucks, you're doing a lot of written assessments, oral assessments, multiple choice quizzes. It's front to back every day. So it's a really good experience. It's a good change of pace, but you're really getting to the fine-tuned details of, operational planning, MDMP. So it's just a really good process. And now that we're in phase 2 in our senior status, you don't stop. It's pedal to the metal. So we keep going, and it's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it, but it's just a lot of information. It's good.
That's great. On your personal experience, what was the hardest part up there for you? Every person is different, so I want to know.
Yeah, absolutely. The standards high. Tests, and even the physical assessments, they're not playing around. Ruck marches, runs, you're expected to score, in the 90th percentile, 80th percentile. You just do your best, and then even within, the written aspect, if you haven't had a lot of college, or if you're not used to writing, 500 words, essays, so on and so forth, it can get you chopped up pretty quick, and it's just learning how to be more proficient. And they do a really good job at breaking that down and building you back up within, okay, here's the standard of how we need to write everything. Here's also the standard of your exams, your oral presentations. For me, I absolutely a massive introvert, so the oral presentation portion was a little difficult, but you do it so often and in front of so many people, you get pretty proficient at it pretty quick. As you can probably tell, the difference between your and I's first interaction,
Yeah.
very much from coming in, I was nervous, but now I'm kind of hitting that battle rhythm and I'm understanding what's accepted of me or expected of me and everything else. So I'm really enjoying the process, to be honest.
That's great, and then I think that's part of what we do in the military is like, repeating stuff until it gets to the point that is it becomes easy. It's like, okay, this is every day. We do this every day, and we it's like a two edged sword. We gotta be careful because when we get complacent and a lot of stuff, it might fail. But that's great to hear that you already did that part of the training. And on the state side, so Chief, what a candidate can expect of the training we do here at the state level for the warrant officer candidate school?
Yeah, so for WOCS, I mean, the primary goal in WOCS, let's keep in mind that most candidates are leaders already. They have put on stripes, or in most cases, if they're coming through our course, they've already been an NCO for some time. But we're trying to take them to the next level and show them how to be leaders as a warrant officer who can speak to not just enlisted, but to officers as well, and be that in between leader between the regular officers and the soldiers and NCOs. So it's taking them to that next level, teaching them how to be professionals as warrant officers, and as well as all the academics. So, but most importantly is the leadership aspect of it.
So I want to go back with Mr. Alfano. Compare with other schools or other professional development courses you have done in your career. How does the warrant officer candidate schools differ? Like, what do you think is the biggest difference? Biggest difference. Sorry.
That's a great question. Even through college or other courses I've taken out, for example, PST, right? You're supposed to be really proficient in mission briefings and talking to your principal and really getting the overall understanding of planning a mission and then executing a mission. I thought that was in depth, and then you go to WOCS and you realize what in depth really means, and then front to back of, hey, there's a logistics plan, right? You're working every single shop. You need to understand from top to bottom, what every single person is doing, where they're going to be. The accountability is absolutely massive. But I really do think that just the planning portion is a big aspect. But I think my favorite aspect of WOCS so far has been the self-development. They do such a good job in fine-tuning you as a person. They will find your weakness, they will hammer it, and they'll make sure it becomes a strength pretty quickly. So it's pretty good. I really enjoy it so far.
That's great. So Chief, last year I had the I was glad you took me with you to the federal WOCS graduation. Is this year's gonna be the same? Like, are they gonna keep doing that? Like,
No.
they're gonna be doing both two graduations?
They will not. That's a big change this year, because last year they had all the 5 drills up front and then the 2-week AT at the end.
Yeah.
And they flipped it on its head with the drills ending up. So the only graduation will be the one in state.
In state, okay. When Mr. Alfano, when you're supposed to be graduating this year?
Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Then we gotta bring you back after graduation.
Yeah. One day at a time here on my end.
That's great. So it's expected to be what? August?
Yeah, August first. Yeah, first the drill in August.
Okay.
Sunday.
That's great. Just send me that information so we can go cover and share the people that you can become a warrant officer here in Colorado, and we need warrant officers, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We have vacancies across the board. Everything from special forces warrants, 180 alphas, to aviators, maintainers. We're short across the board and looking to fill seats with qualified, not just anybody, but qualified applicants that fit the mold for it.
That's great. So now that you mentioned that that you're looking for qualified applicants, so what would you tell to an NCO that is currently serving in the Colorado Army National Guard and wants to become a warrant officer? What you will tell them?
Well, I would tell them that most applicants fail at the application process. So I should say most warrant officers fail to complete warrant officer candidate school at the application process. They just
At the starting point.
Exactly. The hardest part about becoming a warrant officer is applying for it. Would you agree, Mr. Alfano?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's intimidating. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of paperwork. Making sure that you're good to go for the ACFT. One piece of advice I always give a candidate is make sure your ACFT is good to go. The rest of it's just academic. You're not having to worry about, am I going to pass ACFT? Am I going to pass height, weight, and tape? Get that stuff out of the way because that's the easy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then all you have to do is worry about passing tests and improving on leadership. But becoming that warrant officer requires a 110 GT. That's another hurdle I see a lot out there. But we have tools for that.
Mm-hmm.
We have apps that you can put on your phone to study for the ASVAB. Retake your ASVAB and raise your GT to a 110. Most of us took it while we were in high school.
Yeah.
And life has changed us. Life has given us experiences, and that alone may very well allow you to raise your GT score.
Yeah, and Sergeant Dupuy mentions that on a previous podcast we had with him when he speaks about the band, and he, we talk about that. Like a lot of people will join the guard under an MOS they don't want, but that's a head start. I didn't when I joined, I didn't saw myself being a mechanic forever. So in order to get this job, I need to raise my GT score in order to be public affairs. So I retook it, and from then I had 105, it went to 118. So I'm like, okay, I'm already set. So I'm planning to commission. I'm building my package. So that's something I already knocked out of the way. And one of the things he said is the same thing. Is like, probably you took it without all the knowledge you have now, and then now life has helped you and paved that road to get a higher GT score and a better job.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I see it all the time.
So for those watching out there, if you wanna improve, just study and then retake the ASVAB. So I'll say personally, there's almost 100% chance you will raise that score.
Yeah, and I have another option out there as well. If a candidate has come to me and they need to raise their GT, but everything else about their packet is strong, then I have the ability to get you to a 2-week GT improvement course.
Okay.
Down at Fort Carson. So that is also an option. So if you bring me a strong packet that meets all of the qualifications other than GT, we'll help you out.
That's great. There's options out there. People just gotta, take it. Because, again, as you mentioned, we need warrant officers. So for those civilians that they're interested in joining the Guard, what you both tell, I want to take both of the sides, because you have a long career, as you mentioned before, and Mr. Alfano, how long you been in the Guard?
I'll be working on 12 years right now.
Okay, so is a lot of years. So I want to hear what you guys can tell those folks looking to join the Colorado Army National Guard.
Yeah, I'll say it's not for everybody. We want the best out there that want to serve their state and their nation, and want to contribute to something that's bigger than them. And so again, yeah, it's not for everybody, but it just might be for you.
Yeah.
There are so many benefits if everybody has their why. Why did I join? I joined because I had no idea what I wanted to do in my life. I was coming out of high school and I didn't want to waste money on college. And that could be somebody else's why, is they needed a job. Well, that job turned into a now 32-year career. And that could be you. You may only want to do 6 years and do your part and serve your state and nation and then move on. And that's okay too. Do we want you to leave after 6 years? No.
Mm-hmm.
We want you to stick it out.
Yep.
And do more. But again, if your why is I want to come in and go to college and the Army's a great way for me to do that. Okay, that's a great why.
What about you, Mr. Alfano?
Yeah, I mean, the why is a huge portion. Know your why. It's always going to be changing and updating as you grow. But I started out, I'm a Colorado native, so I take pride in my state, absolutely. However, like I said, family lineage is a big thing for me. My family is all served, and it's something I knew I wanted to do since I was a kid. And it gave me a lot of cool options. And originally I thought I wanted to go in one path in my career, and then it turns out I joined the Guard, and I loved every single thing I did. And I've been, pretty much full-time Guard or like on state orders a lot, and I've got to do a lot of fun things, go a lot of fun places, thoroughly enjoy it. But you definitely bring the motivation and keep the motivation, but it's definitely worth the journey. I can't believe I'm already sitting at how many years I already am. I thought I was going to be done in 3-4 years, and you just keep going. It turns out you're sitting at 12 going to WOCS. So it's definitely a fun journey. You just got to take it for what it is, and it's a good time.
It probably happens to a lot of us. Chief Flores on her podcast mentioned the same thing. Is like I joined because I wanted to go to college, and I needed money to go to college. And then she's been a lot of years in. I joined because I needed money for college too, and now I see, like, I tell my wife I'll be in until the day they kick me out. If I can be here 40 years, I'll do it. I like it. I like the camaraderie here. I like meeting different people, moving around. I will not be here in Colorado if it were not thanks to the military, because my wife PCS, and then so I transitioned from the reserve into the Guard, and I'm like, hey, if I was not in, this was not possible, So I think the Guard, if you ask a lot of folks out there, the Guard probably changed their life, or the military changed their life. For me, is I will not be here or where I'm at on my civilian life if we're not thanks to the military.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. I've had more experiences in the Guard than I ever had on active duty, and been able to go to more places, see more things. At the time, might have been hard, but now is just a great story. And those are just all experiences you get to carry on with you. Going to places like Estonia, Japan, Germany, all over in the Middle East, deployments, peacetime deployments, the floods, fires, the list will go on and on. So, yeah, absolutely, the Guard has been a great experience, and if you say otherwise, you weren't trying.
That's and I mentioned this since I think it's a third podcast with Sergeant Max Miller. He's currently at the NGMTC. He's a sniper, and he said the Colorado Army National Guard is a perform-based organization, and if you are not having a great experience, it's because you're not exposing yourself to volunteering and I'll do all the stuff that other people are trying to do. Because by sitting down and going to drill and just being there is not enough. Like you gotta raise your hand, volunteer for additional duties, do more stuff. Expose yourself to more stuff.
Go to Jordan, go to Slovenia on these exercises. Volunteer for those, and I guarantee the people that volunteered for them are volunteering again because they had such a great experience and the memories that they took from it.
So talking about that, Mr. Alfano, how many MOS do you say you have?
I have 2 MOSs. So I have military police and then supply. So I have 2 MOSs, and then the third one I was working in space for a bit is a 35 Fox, so intelligence analyst. So, and then switched over to WOCS, so, and then doing IT now. So you get so many different things in the Guard. Like you guys were saying before, if you're not having a good experience, you can have a good experience. Push yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are plenty of places you can go in the Guard that I've seen people who just weren't a big fan of the current unit they're in. They switch units, they're thriving. They do a phenomenal job. The unit fits for how their brain works, what their level of motivation is, and then all of a sudden they're just absolute superstars now. So just find that drive and don't be afraid to fail is really what it comes down to. Is don't talk about it, just be about it and go hard and just have a good time with it.
It's crazy you mentioned that. I recently spoke with a friend of mine, and he was like, yeah, I'm done with the military. He's on the reserves. And I was like, probably you are not in the component you need to be, or probably you are not in the MOS you need to be. I was like, change units, try to change your MOS. And he has never reclassed or whatever. I'm like, bro, you got to change that, because probably you are just tired of what you're doing, or you don't like the MOS anymore. Just try to open your mind. And it's like, in the military, we have like tons of jobs. Try to get a job that relates to you. Because if you're going to drill and you're like, it feels like a burden, probably you are not on the proper place.
Yeah. Speaking for the Colorado Army National Guard senior leaders, I can tell you that they support just that. They want you to be a productive member of the team. And if life changes and desires change, and if you want to be a productive member of the team in a different capacity, let's do it.
Yeah, and it helps not only, it will not help you not only your career but also your well-being, like mental, like peace of mind. Because for example, I was doing my doctorate degree and I was like, this is not for me. I told my wife I'm dropping out. She was mad. She's like, how many people try this and you made it to the doctorate degree, you made your first year. I'm like, this is not for me. Same with the military. If you don't feel you're doing the best, or you don't feel you fit in, try to change that. Probably because the guards need you. Try to look for something that you might be interested, and you'll see the changes. Mr. Alfano said, is like he saw like people like they were like lacking on drills. Once they changed MOS, now they're rock stars.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes a big difference when you take the time to look for something that fits your needs. And there's, like Mr. Coppock was saying, there's plenty of leadership that is going to support your move. You got to communicate to them, right? And that's a big thing about it. Is my family life is significantly better than it ever could have been if I never would have joined the Guard. The opportunities I've had, the places I've visited, the people I've met, the networking you get to do, and the education I've gotten. It's a bad idea not to join. I would just say that.
Yeah.
There's so many good things about it. You can find a positive if you just even try to look. So it's a lot of good things.
So if you're liking the content, go below, subscribe, hit the notifications bell so that you whenever we upload a video or a new podcast, you can get notified. Comment, throw your comments below, ask questions. So whenever we bring again Chief Coppock or Mr. Alfano, I'm planning to bring you once you graduate. Probably the whole class. How big is the class this year?
There's only 4. There's only 4 this year.
Okay.
Yeah, we're hoping to have a little bit bigger class next year, and we'll see how that goes.
Okay. One thing. Last year we have reserve soldiers, right?
We did. Not this year.
Not this year.
Yeah, they didn't have any candidates ready to go, and we usually get one out of Wyoming as well. We have agreements with our neighboring states that don't have an RTI WOCS program, and they send their candidates to us.
So that's great, because people don't know the majority of the classes down there, right? OCS, right? BLC, WOCS. all of them are like multi-component, right? Like they can.
PLC is multi-component.
Okay.
WOCS can be is multi-component, just not with Compa 1.
Okay.
And OCS, I actually can't answer for that one. I'm not sure.
But it's great. That facility down there. Like we had here Colonel Cabral. We had Sergeant Major Phoebus. We have a lot of like even Chief Flores used to work down there, and like every time on every podcast we mention that facility, and that facility is great. And even active duty soldiers go there and they're like, what is this?
Yeah. I wish I had WOCS there. Our WOCS was at the old prison on Fort Carson.
Oh,
before
wow.
We had the RTI, and Miss Flores was actually in my class with me.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because she called you out on the previous podcast with her, and from that class, it's not to tell anything about your age, but she said like him and me are the only ones.
There were the only two left
because everybody else retired.
Yep.
So, but that's great. Having leadership with that kind of experience that you and Chief Flores have is just amazing. It's I've been only 9 years, and getting that experience, and getting to travel with you, have like we had a lunch up there in Indiana. That's great. Sitting down there and just listening to you speak is good. And talking about that, I want to ask you both: do you guys have any quote about anything, like a quote or a way of thinking that you want to share with our listeners? No?
I probably would have needed some prep on that one.
Mr. Alfano?
Yeah, I think the only thing that I try to live life by is just like armchair theory, right? So when I'm, an old man and, I have grandkids, I want to be able to look back in life and know that at least I took all the challenges that I was honestly afraid to take. So, fail early or fail often. That's my only thing.
That's great. And question that we also always ask on the podcast closure is anyone that you want to challenge to be part of the podcast?
I would challenge Major Joe Bryant, the 2nd 135th Commander.
Yeah, I talked to him recently, and I was like, we need people from aviation to come here and speak. He's the CAG now, right?
CAG.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll stop by there and say, hey, sir, you're next.
Yeah, he's got a couple different roles in the state.
Yeah. So what about you, Mr. Alfano? Who you challenge to come here and be on the podcast?
I'd like to actually see my coworker, Mr. Horn. He's a very articulate person, so he's good people. I think you learn a lot from him.
That's great. So he works up there in G6, right?
He does.
Okay. They both next. They're on the queue for come out into the podcast. Thank you for coming here, sharing the your thoughts, and coming here to have a conversation. I wish this is not the last time I have you both here, because every year or we need warrant officers, and we need to spread the word. So, and then going back to the flyer. So we're still looking for warrant officers, right? Retired ones.
We are.
So again, if you're interested into coming back, here's the contact for our warrant officer strength manager, 720-584-3691. Contact them, and we'll get you started with them. So again, Mr. Alfano, Chief Coppock, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.